rolls in a cold breeze. Steel boots on the sand, no ease. Propellers hum the Soviet quest, but the island ain't weak, not less. Hot tanks roaring loud and clear. Zombie hula girls, no fear. Tiki terrors rise, eyes ablaze. Soviets drown in the island haze. Island don't surf, island don't win. Tiki terrors won't let them in. Hot tanks make the ground shake. Zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Under moonlight chants they clash. Steel meets flame, bones will thrash. Cold War's heat, the island's grip. Tiki rage will never slip. Drums beat, wild waves take hold. Soviet shiver, hearts turn cold. In the depths of night they fail. Tiki terror's ancient tale. Island don't surf, island don't win. Tiki terrors won't let them in. Hot tanks make the ground shake. Zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Hearts won't break.
Howdy, it's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Thanks for joining me again on another Too Late Tonight with Tiki. Alright, I know, 2 minutes late, sorry it took me a while to change gears from work over to this. But, howdy. Hope you guys are doing well. Sean, I see your message. It's funny. But, I'm excited to, build some more. Imperial Japanese have been looking up on how I actually want to do these guys. I need 2 10-man rifle squads, but, 2 people in each squad are going to have SMGs. So, that's what we're looking to build. We got our 1 officer. We got our anti-tank team, and then we're going to need to build up our other squads. So, while we're doing that, we'll come to everything else. Also, while we're doing that, we're going to be enjoying some tobacco from Screw Hunter Sean. This will be nice. Rocking the old Meerschaum pipe. Stuff's nice, Sean. I appreciate it. All right. All right. Well, so far I haven't been banned for technically smoking on stream, so not bad. Hey, Matthew, what's going on, buddy? All right. So I need to plan out how I'm going to do this. So I think for my officers, I'm going to put them in white uniforms. Let me fix my display on my side so I can see better. There we go. Yeah, I think they're just going to have white nibble uniforms with black boots. There's his SMG, there's his saber. Hey, what's going on, CB Cooper? Nice, dude. Those scorpions, every time I use them in a battle report, they do well. So when I was using it at the Battle of Tijuana, I mean, it knocked out some serious units. It helped take down heavy infantry squad and some other stuff. However, with the points, I can only afford to take it as a regular. And so the guy I was playing against, Sam, he started just absolutely putting shots into that thing. He didn't kill it, but he put a lot of pins on that thing, especially with those light autocannons. So that's the only thing, you know, just like any other vehicle in Common 47, it's highly susceptible to pins. Yeah, this is good stuff, Sean. I like it. I may get another Scorpion and paint it up in these naval colors. I don't know yet. Let me get a cut in here. Yeah, that cold stuff can be hard to find. Hey, what's going on, Bad Rabbit? Yeah. Work ran over a little bit, so I had less time to kind of swap gears. So I figured I could be in a rush and start the stream on time, or I could take the extra few minutes, you know, pack my tobacco pipe, crack me a beer, you know, sit down, kind of get my stuff organized and start. So I figured I owed it to you guys to kind of start up and stream with my head right versus, you know, on time. Yeah, yesterday was kind of a weird stream. I appreciate all the gifts, but it was almost like an unboxing plus a rant about an event. So like two things I usually very rarely do. So last stream was kind of weird. I was feeling kind of weird afterwards, so I'm kind of happy to get back to like what I usually do, and that's, you know, just kit bashing and building models. what we're doing is we have our officer built, officer with submachine gun. And then we're gonna build 2 NCOs to get it. So I'm starting with the 500 point force first, and that's anti-tank rifle team, 2 commies, both inexperienced. We'll have an officer by himself with SMG, and then we'll have 2 rifle platoons. Each rifle platoon is gonna have platoon NCO with SMGs. He's gonna have his assistant with an SMG. He's gonna have 8 riflemen. Yeah, this stuff is it's cured just right, Sean. It's highly smokable, which I appreciate. Thanks, Bud Rabbit. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm just yeah, I am always in my head. Well, the plus side is you get to see, you know, the real me and inside of my head. You know, this kind of stuff I think about and worry about. And same thing, when I'm positioning these guys, I have to think about how I want to do it because I'm going to try and do the beach effect. I'm going to order some AK beach spacing for the tan parts, but I think the water, I like the way the water's coming on. I'm just going to keep doing it like that. So I want to make sure with these guys I have enough for like a shoreline. Like this guy might be walking, as an officer, he might be walking like parallel to the shore, you know? My trick is to do each one of these bases very similar to that style, you know? What's going on, Francois? Yeah, that was a cool thing. I did a Conflict 47 game. You know, we battled in Tijuana. I got to do several bonsai charges, including a very, very suboptimal, absolutely dumb, smooth brain move I did. I had maneuvered my veteran officer team. It was 3 veterans with assault rifles, because Conflict 47. So your officer, you could take up the 2, you know, adjutants, and they could take whatever model they're weaponed with to include assault rifles per the rules. So I had moved these guys up on a truck, and they were hanging out on top of a building, this like ruined cafe with 3 assault rifles. They could have just rained piss. Instead, I jumped down from that building and assaulted a veteran airborne unit that hadn't moved yet, so they still had a dice available, and so they just stood and shot, and they had 2 LMGs. Oh, it was disgusting. Even Sam looked and was like, you sure? And I'm like, ah, shit, yeah. Alright. Every day we're getting closer and closer to the Comic 47 reveal, so from what I understand, I know a little bit of extra stuff, not by choice. I purposely don't want to know anything that I can't tell you guys about, just because I don't like the whole, like, I don't like when people get special access, you know. I think it's kind of, unless they like work for the company. I think it's weird. But anyways, what I do know for sure is I don't think the Italians are going to be in this Conflict 47 like rules release, but there should be rules for everybody else. And I don't think the French either. So you should have American, German, British, Japanese, and Soviets. From what I hear, they're not changing. From what I understand, now this could be wrong. This is just unsubstantiated rumor. They're not messing with the rules too much. They're just trying to bring it in line with 3rd edition. What I think that means like platoon structure and some other stuff, maybe cover and things like that. But I don't think they're gonna bring the way they're doing melee combat and 3rd edition stuff like that. Hey, what's going on, man? Good morning. So I hear they're just trying to bring it in line. And because what got me is I thought they should finish, 3rd edition, with all the books out and the rules before they do this. But I think they're doing this so that they can also announce a lot of plastic models and a lot of new units. I know for sure one new unit. We saw it. We weren't supposed to see it, but we saw it on the pictures, I think, from Adepticon. It looks like they're working on something I went up against, the mud jumper. I always forget the American names. Not the pond skipper, but the mud jumper. So the medium American walker. I think it's gonna have a different variant. And from the pictures at Adepticon, it looks like one of them had a Tesla weapon on it. So maybe like a super medium walker, jump walker. Hey, that's awesome, man. Yeah, mud skipper. So it looks like there might be like a super mud skipper or like a Tesla mud skipper coming, which is kind of cool. We saw concept art of a grizzly with a big ass Tesla gun instead of like the medium AT gun, but we never saw that released. But with the pictures we saw from Adepticon, we weren't supposed to see it, by the way, but we saw a mud skipper being focused on, but it looks with the weapons a little bit different. Maybe it had Tesla, maybe it didn't, but it looked like a revamped mud skipper. And I went up against a mud skipper. So I'm having Sam. So I did a bad job with the battle report. Phone started losing power, so I stopped like taking notes. I think like in the last couple turns, I gotta kind of like go through the pictures and figure out what happens. And I didn't take pictures of either of our starting armies. So I'm having Sam take a picture of his and also, jot down what his list was. But from what I remember, he had a bazooka team. He had a medium mortar team. I think a medium machine gun team. Heavy infantry squad. Firefly squad with the flamethrower, and I think AT grenades. And he had like 2, 3, maybe 4 airborne squads with multiple light machine guns inside. Then he had a mud skipper, and he had a coyote. So he had a medium walker and a light walker. I took I'll read you off my I can read you off my list. Alright, so my list was I took 1 veteran 3-man leadership team with assault rifles. I took 16 zombies. I took 2 2-man AT battle frame exosuit teams. I took 2 50-man vet rifle squads, all veterans. I took a light truck with a mini machine gun on it as a regular. I took 1 light scorpion walker as a regular, and then I took my Locust medium walker as a veteran. So our lists are actually it was a pretty fair mashup. Ours pretty interesting matchup, I want to say. One medium walker, one light walker, some heavy infantry. I mean, he took his actual heavy infantry. I took my quote-unquote heavy infantry as AT teams. Sure, yeah, I got a story for you. I can tell you the the time I met Morty and Glory in person. That was fun. Let me get these guys cut out, and then I'll start talking about it. Yeah, it has been an interesting week for me. I went from like in Conflict 47, I have Imperial Japanese Army, and I have German. My German unit is Cult of Imhotep. So they're like Egyptian themed cultists. So they look more like this. So these are what my German units look like. Instead of Totencore, they use mummies, and their infantry are cultists. Alright, hey, enjoy the movie, Bad Rabbit. Y'all take it easy. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm just shopping through all my different bits, trying to figure out what arms I want to use to build these Imperial Japanese Navy NCOs. Alright, good. I found another sword. Nice, got the ammo pouch right here. Just shopping in the old bits box for weapon systems here. All right. Hey, what's going on, Grimton Tim? The daughters are a good sculpt. They're not bad. They usually come with a lot of assault rifles. I mean, they're good fast. I mean, they're not heavy infantry, but they're also not regular infantry. You know, they're actually pretty good. They can take Panzerfaust and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. No, 3D prints are 100% not frowned upon. So, right now, stuff in Combat 47 is so expensive, nobody minds to use 3D prints. A good example, I use these as Totencore for my German army. These are D&D mummies. They came like 3 to a pack for like $5 or $7, I want to say. And then, hold on. And all my zombies are packed away. My other zombies I use for my Imperial Japanese. The Tiki mask on them, they're Kings of War zombies. With these little Tiki masks I got from Frostgrave Ghost Archipelago on them. So, no, not at all. And I'll definitely be getting it for price support for the Clash of the Caribbean event. But, Wargame Atlantic does zombie boxes now, so if you need zombies, it's much cheaper to do it that way now. Yeah, Matthew, I'm going to have to pick some up. Yeah, I was talking to RK. I'm kind of sad the Imperial. I mean, it's also on brand too, but the Imperial Japanese don't get a heavy walker. So. Ooh, delicate piece. Alright, so that should be enough bits to try and build some of these guys. Let's see what we got going on here. Alright. Before I do everything but the heads, I gotta go get the heads from the Imperial Japanese screws, which are hidden down in my bottom part of my cabinet here, so it'll take a little bit to get those. But I can get all the gear on. Guess I won't need the backpacks. Yeah, I'm excited to have these Imperial Japanese Navy for some bolt action games too. That'll be fun. Apparently, you never know when you come across a river, you know, so it's nice to have amphibious units. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like with the way they're loosey-goosey doing everything, like I wish I could have just brought my Japanese and played with the Soviets. Kind of. So the way heavy infantry work is every nation's heavy infantry is different. So, the German heavy infantry, they have the tough infantry rule, so unless you're shooting them with a weapon that's +2 pin, they get to roll at dice and basically get a 5-up save. They can kind of ignore that shot. So the Germans are their heavy infantry are slow, but they can also take heavy weapons like machine guns, right? So that's cool. The Americans, their guys can only take assault rifles, right? But they don't have that slow special rule. The Russians, they have this weird dual weapon system where it's a submachine gun on one hand and like a cut down AT rifle on the other, and they're also slow. And all three of those also have the large infantry rule. So if you try to put them in transports, they take up like multiple spots, right? So then you have the Imperial Japanese. Their exosuits, not only are they fast like the Americans, I'm sorry, not only are they not slow like the other ones, they're actually fast. So the Americans move at regular speed, The Germans and Russians move slower, and the Imperial Japanese actually move faster. But they're also reducing the weapons they can take. Usually the actual Imperial Japanese battle armor, it comes in 3 different types. You have the assault, the battlefield, and the anti-tank. So the anti-tank come in 2-man teams. They can take a Panzerschreck. That's it. The battlefield exosuits or battle armor, they carry submachine guns and grenade launchers. And they can you can pay the points, I think, to swap over to compression rifles if you want. Compression rifles are weird. They kind of work like shotguns. You could take 1 shot at 24 inches with no modifier, or you could take 3 shots at close range with a -1 modifier, -1 pin. Kind of weird. Or you could take them as assault battle frame, which means they get SMGs and basically swords, close combat weapons. Yeah, so slows, they move a little bit slower. That's really it. But yeah, fast is legit. Fast, they're moving like 9 to 18 is pretty awesome. No, I think fast, fast 8 to 16. Yeah. So fast, their advanced speed is 8 instead of 6, and their run is 16 instead of 12. Yeah, so that's the benefit to the British Galahad suits. Everybody gets light machine guns. Pretty fucking gnarly. And then the Italian Bersaglieres take the Galahad suits. Yeah, so the Mark I Soviet heavy infantry, they're not high tech. It's literally just like really buff Russian guys wearing just like steel plated armor. But their Mark II is actually real power armor for their heavy infantry. It's kind of cool. And most heavy infantry, I had to go back and actually look through there. Most heavy infantry get IR vision, which is pretty cool, just like how the Shrek-Wolfen have. So if someone pops smoke, or if it's like night fighting rules, they can see in the dark. Alright, so we're working on 1 naval NCO right now. So he's got a Thompson, and he's got an arm pointing, you know? Yeah, that SMG keeps breaking, so we find a new SMG hand for this other guy. Yeah, the Italian stuff's cool. Yeah, so you have the Italians in the north who side with the Germans. They get access to a lot of German stuff, and they look very Roman. The southern Italians, or the Kingdom of Italy, and they take a lot of the American and British stuff. So they use like a lot of they use Tesla Stewards and converted Galahad suits. They have their own version of Firefly jump infantry, the Parashuti. It's pretty cool. I was taking a look at my different kits, trying to figure out how to get some machine gun to fit these guys. Okay. I think I got the right arm for it. it'll be exciting to see what all plastic suits or plastic models are coming out for you know, the first wave of releases. I guess wave's the correct term. Trying to figure out how I want to get that sword arm working. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's, with me, I'd probably stick with the Mark 1s. I like that dual weapon pack, because it makes them not just a threat to light walkers and ABCs and trucks and stuff, but it makes them a huge threat to other heavy infantry. Let me get this NCO built, and I'll start. I'll pick up the story where I left off immediately after the Battle of Berlin. I hop in the old Jeep and drive over to Orlando. Meet up with Irish, and we wait, and then Morning walks in. Alright, so driving over to Orlando, you know, finally get to sit walk a little bit early. Hop out, walk in there, do a little shopping for the missus. You know, we don't come home empty-handed. And then I head over. We're apparently all gonna meet up at the Margaritaville, which I love, hilariously on brand for the whole Tiki thing, right? And so I'm checking the Discord, see who gets there early. Irish does. So Irish at the bar, Margaritaville bar, across from the restaurant. So I head over there, order a drink, grab him a drink, and start telling him about what he missed at the Battle of Berlin. Because Irish was supposed to go to the Battle of Berlin, but at the last minute, apparently he misses. I got him tickets to like a Broadway show. Or I guess off Broadway because it's in Florida, but luckily he missed out. So I fill him in on everything, and he's just like, this is absolute shenanigans. So we're sitting there bullshitting, and we both have like margaritas in our hands. And we're both sitting there, you know, I'm a big guy, Irish is kind of a bigger guy too. We're wearing like Hawaiian shirts, hats, and there's this, at first I thought it was someone's like lost kid, right? Sorry for the hiccup. But like this little like kid kind of walks up, And I was like, oh, you guys look like 140K fans. And if it wasn't for the British accent, I've been like, who the fuck? When I turned and look, and we look down, and there's Morty and Glory. Super friendly dude. Same thing. He's exactly as he is. If you've never played with him before or anything like that, if you're not one of the British people, he's exactly as he is in real life as he is in the stream. Super chill, very friendly, extremely humble, very nice guy. Give him shit all day. It was phenomenal. And so we start chit-chatting. He wants to hear immediately how that fucking Battle Berlin shit went, so I'm filling him in. I get him a margarita. I don't think he drinks tequila often, so we got him a nice one. A couple, actually. We're all sitting there drinking, and I can already tell, like, I think we put like two good top shelf margaritas into the guy. I can already see his like face getting red. I was like, oh shit, we probably get something to eat. And then everybody started showing up, like Trooper, Jay Medic, and a couple other guys showed up. So we got a table, we sat down. You know, people were just ordering the usual, like cheeseburgers and fish tacos and stuff like that. And we were sitting there chit-chatting, and Jay Medic starts talking them up about Warpfire Minis. If you guys don't know Warpfire Minis, again, not affiliated with anybody, I'm kind of my own thing, you know. But I do go to Warpfire Minis a lot. It's over in Ocala, so it's like kind of neutral turf for all the people in Florida. It's like in the center of Florida, easy to get to. And what I like about Warpfire Minis is it is a wargaming store. There's a store very close to me that people go to, and they want to start a Conflict 47 scene, which is super cool. No one else has wanted to do that so far, right? So it's the first store that's super serious about it, so I'm gonna be going there a lot. And it's close to me. It's like very close, so I'll probably be going there quite a bit. However, I do still have a soft spot for Warpfire games because they are an actual war game store. What I mean by that is when you walk into Warpfire Minis, the first room, I say that, yeah, the first room, it's a shit ton of rooms. So the first room you walk into, it's got a few like demo tables set up for like smaller games like AOS, maybe like Spearhead, some stuff like that. Paint everywhere, a nice register, someone's always there to greet you, very friendly. It's got a cooler full of drinks that you can buy, stuff like that, right? Then you take a step past that, and you walk into a massive, like, warehouse room, and it is just wall-to-wall models, like, model kits, like Warhammer 40K, and I think Age of Sigmar are, like, everywhere, right? And then there's restrooms in there, there's a whole bunch of, like, display cases of, like, all the staff's armies and stuff like that. A whole bunch of props everywhere too, so I'm pretty sure if you ask nice, you can take pictures with props, you know, helmets, you know, bolters, all sorts of cool stuff. And then as you start going in the side rooms, that's where all the other tabletop war games are. So there's one strictly for Old World, there's one for Bolt Action, Conflict 47. It shares a room with, I want to say, Blood and Plunder and Port Royal. Like, the further you go, the deeper you go into each different room. It's like a whole new themed room for a whole new set of tabletop games, and a table specifically in that room, which is really cool. It's one of the only stores I know of that's actually a tabletop wargaming store. Everywhere else, and I'm not a business owner, but I can appreciate, I can understand, you got to keep the lights on, right? And tabletop wargaming may not be what actually, you know, pays for stuff. So a lot of stores stay alive with their collectible card game or whatever it is, like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, that new Disney one, which... So, here's a question for you guys. Maybe it's just Florida, because we have Disney World here, you know? So I'm assuming California and Florida, Disneyland, Disney World. Maybe we have a lot of Disney adults, but that Disney game is, like, insanely popular down here. I have no idea why. Maybe it is what you guys call, like, Locana or something? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So I thought I was just big down here because we have Disney World. I played the Magic the Gathering when I was a kid. I played with my older brothers. This had to be around like Ice Age, I think like before 5th edition maybe. I don't know if that sounds right. I'm talking 90s, right? And we never like played competitive. That's one thing I understood about Magic. I never understood competitive. The way I always played Magic was it was kind of like almost like D&D. Like you pick like a theme, kind of like your wizard. You pick like your character. Like in your deck was always themed. That's the way me and my brothers played, and that's the way like me and my friends played. Is it was all like themed decks. Like I was, I had a Merfolk deck, so it was a blue deck with lots of Merfolk and lots of artifacts. You know, because that was the whole story. Is they dive down and find all these artifacts. So it's like a very artifact and Merfolk heavy deck. And it was blue, so lots of trickery and counter spells and stuff like that. You know. Now with this competitive thing, it's weird. It's like they like take these packs, they rip them open, they build decks with it. Everybody kind of knows what each other's have. It's like a probability thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyways, so I was subscribing Warfire games. Jay Medic was talking to him, trying to convince him, it's a huge store and that's where you should do, Thanatos if he ever does in the US. Like, really kind of bending his ear. And I know some people are like, why always Florida, da-da-da-da. What I'm assuming is if I'm going to go to a foreign country, I might as well go to a state that's also kind of like a vacation. So you can get his, like, Thanatos and maybe a vacation all in one. Alright, so I need this as a left hand, so I'm going to cut the hand of the saber off. I'm going to spin it upside down and put it in his left hand, so he kind of has it almost like in a like a left side, like a port side parry, if you know like your 8 movements. Feels good to be back to kit bashing infantry. I got orcs, and my orcs, they do call to me. But I want to do some conflict 47 and bolt action. I did a very short notice. Yeah, man, in the last month, I've actually done a lot more wargaming than I'm used to. So I did a demo game with Doc Ginger, 500 points bolt action, and then I did the Berlin game, and then the Tijuana game. When I did the demo game with Doc Ginger, I wish I actually had, painted Imperial Japanese Navy so it looked better. On the tabletop, it'd be easier to distinguish. Alright, that did not turn out the way I wanted it to. Alright, back to the drawing boards. That did not come out well. Alright. Hmm. But no, other than that, that's what the most talked about. Trying to get a Thanatos game here in the States. I think some people will be interested in that. If they do, I'll definitely offer my services as a organizer or TO or helper or anything like that. Alright, almost on the NCOs. We're gonna throw some ammo pouches on them. And then I'll probably get out their 2 adjutants. I'll probably be getting close to the end. The Conflict 47 game went phenomenal. It was absolutely great. So we showed up, we built the whole town. You know, he started on the American side, I started on my side. I mostly used my infantry to kind of like run behind buildings, so there was no objectives, it was just killing, so my infantry wasn't super effective. But the AT rifle teams, I mean the anti-tank teams are great because they're fast, and if I had to get them in combat, it wasn't that fast. There's still 2 of them. And they are tough infantry, you know, that's good. So tough infantry also counts for when you get in close combat as well. So what I did is I kind of filed down the thumb and moved it so it kind of just looks like he's like grabbing it and holding it up like in a guard position. So it's not, it looks a little weird, but it's not super crazy. I'll stick with it. I don't have a lot of options, unfortunately. So I appreciate the tobacco. Definitely helped me stay awake and keep me going. Yeah, it was an interesting one, CB Cooper. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, sorry I made you bummed to hear that, and ultimately, there's nothing wrong with the guy. And maybe, I don't know, I never played him in a tournament. Maybe that's how tournament players are, I don't know. But this wasn't billed as a tournament. The Battle of Berlin wasn't a tournament event. I think that was the catch, you know. by the same token, I wouldn't want to bring my weird ass like custom rules or, you know, my random like Conflict 47 models and casual attitude to a tournament event. I feel it's disrespectful to the tournament event, right? So. Alright, so no head yet. I'll have to go and dig out the soft cap. But there is a Imperial Japanese Navy officer. He's got his naval saber. Got a Capture Thompson, some SMG mags. Oh, I think I got a solution actually to this arm. Like I watched the motor. So the motor pool, I can't tell you enough how cool everything worked out. So I think even I got to humdrum. So let me tell you the cool parts of the Battle of Berlin. So the coolest part, you know, being kind of a theme whore, is I actually, and being, you know, security forces and stuff like that, I actually got to be a military police guy on the board. And what I mean by that is I actually got to zoom up, take checkpoints, hold bridges, even tell my guys like, hey, don't bring that tank up here, no, bring this here, and like kind of, not in me, but tell my guys like, hey, get that tank off the bridge, you know, get off the X, clear, you know, keep the lane open to move the tanks up the way, you know, just how the EMPs who landed at Normandy were, you know, trying to clear access for the DD tanks to get up the road and not the beach. But we had no coordination, so the best part is these guys all had just random lists, you know, tanks and infantry. So then I show up and I'm like, hey guys, I brought a meme list, you know, and they're like, you got any room in your trucks for like bazooka teams? Or I was like, I got room for, I was like, I could take a whole ass squad. I could take 24 guys in each truck. So these guys just loaded the trucks down with infantry. And every time I move up a truck, I check with them, like, all right guys, are we running it? Are you staying in? You know, are you ride or die? Or are we advancing or hopping out? So that actually saved a lot of our infantry. We zoomed them up the board pretty far. And when they took out the trucks, most of the infantry just kind of like took a loss here and there, took some pins, and then hopped out. So it actually ended up working really, really well. The list, what was supposed to be a meme, like joking around list, actually ended up being extremely useful to the American side because we were able to basically load up on all the trucks. Yeah, Grimton 10, it's a fair rule, but you know what I mean? Like, same thing, like, I don't want to show up with like my weird alternate camouflage. Like even this wasn't a real historical camouflage, and my tanks have like surfboards on the side. Like it's fine for a casual game, but I don't want to show up to like an actual historical tournament, you know? I don't want people to like bend to my rules, but at the same point in time, I don't want to bend to theirs, if that makes sense. I think if this is your hobby, no one should have to, if your hobby is to buy, build, paint, and play with these models, you shouldn't have to play to anybody else's rules that you don't like. But by the same token, neither should they. So I think you just naturally gravitate towards communities that you get along with, you know? Like if I lived in an area where the only people who played bolt action were like super competitive, like sweat bolt counters, I'd probably play something different. I'd just be like, ah man, I'm good, you know, what else? But some people are only surrounded by like people like me who are super laid back. I'm like, no, I want a really good, like grindy, not in a bad way, but like they want that competitive scene, which is fine, you know. I hope they find it. I think there's room for all different types. I think you run into issues when those types don't communicate and they kind of trying to play the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It's like everyone's like, hell yeah, let me jump in that truck, you know. So we're moving these trucks up. People are, you know, like, all right, you know, don't run this one. Advance as I advance it up. They're hopping out left and right. They're and same thing. one guy's infantry squad went down, or he took some pins. I was like, hey man, I'll bring up my infantry, or I'll bring up my command jeep next to you, and you can use my aura, you know, my morale bonus from the vehicles like that. So that was a lot of fun. It was fun working with allies. Oh yeah, I think this new arm pinman's gonna work a lot better. So yeah, there's a fun idea. Let me throw that out to you guys. Thinking about doing an event, you know, not on a cruise ship, something a little bit more accessible. But so here's what I'm thinking. CB Cooper, some of the other guys, feel free to give me some feedback on it. I'm thinking about doing a 1,500 point game. So it'd be 3-on-3. Hear me out. I know it's crazy. Oh no, there'd be more than that. Hold on. Oh yeah, no, that actually ends up being perfect. Yeah, I'd want to do a 3-on-3, and each player brings 500 points, and you can do a 1,500 versus a 1,500. Because I think 2,000, where one person brings 1,000 points and two other people bring 500, I think that'd be too big, maybe. So yeah, I'm debating between doing a 1,500 point game on both sides. You know, 3 players on each side, and all 3 players bring 500 points, or a 2,000 point game. Yeah, I'm aiming to do a 2,000. Yeah, I think I'll make it a 2,000 point game. So, 2,000 point game. Team captain on either side gets 1,000 points, and the 2 other players on each side get 500 points, and they can coordinate and talk amongst themselves. You know. And the way I may do it is I may cut the dice in half. So let's say both sides are having like 24 dice. Just cut it down to 12, and whenever you pull a dice for your side, it activates. You keep the other half of your dice nearby, you know, and it activates 2 units. I'm about to say I don't know how that works with Snap 2, maybe. Yeah, that way it keeps people from like bringing these huge ass massive things necessarily. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the big tank, but you know, for 1,000 points, you can fit in some pretty cool stuff. And I think it allows you to kind of like work with your teammates. It allows you to kind of specialize. Like, hey, I want to do, you know, close-in fighting, or hey, I want to do indirect mortars and artillery. Hey, I want to do this, and I think it allows you to kind of do that. So Squigger or Sean, that's essentially kind of what we did for the Berlin game. Because I asked, like, hey, who wants to be team captain? Not me. You know, I was like, dibs on not me. And there was one guy who was kind of nice, and we just kind of made him the commander. Like, all right, man, hey, what do you think? You know, he's like, all right. I was like, hey, I got a truck. Where do you want it? You know, like, all right, move it in here. I was like, okay, cool, got it. Alright, so this ended up working a little bit better. This one's actually carrying a Sten. He's got his hand back here on his saber, so it actually looks a little bit more natural. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's why I think it works better with the way the command structure for Conflict 47 works now. So it's kind of like an integrated platoon. Nice. Minus the heads, there are two rifle platoon NCOs. Nice. So I'm going to be using a lot of the soft cap heads I have for the Imperial Japanese and just painting the soft caps blue. Kind of like how this AT rifle guy has. And then for the other helmets, for the Imperial Japanese, I'm just going to give them gray helmets. Grim Tim Tim, that sounds really cool. I've thought about something kind of like that. There's a computer game out there. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen it. It's a World War I. You're trying to get home and use a train. So you have a train that's transporting your troops, and you kind of like hop out and do scavenging missions. So I think something kind of like that, almost like Battlestar Galactica. Like you start with a set force, and you got to keep going on this campaign, you know, and if you don't accrue, you know, like resources, or if you don't like take the time to loot and shoot, you know, if you're just killing the enemy and stuff like that, you could actually slowly start just like running out of troops and attrition and equipment and fuel. That would be really cool. I like that. It's really cool, Grim Tim Tim. Maybe you can always get like inexperienced squads from like the locals, you know, like militia squads. You know, so you'll lose like your riflemen slowly get smaller. Like you'll start off like a 15-man veteran rifle team. You know, when they get whittled down, those losses count. You know, so like I could lose like 3 guys. So next match, it's down to like a 13 or 12-man team. And like fill the points. Maybe if you like rescue a village, you have access to a couple inexperienced militia squads to kind of like supplement your ranks. Grim Tim Tim, that would be a really cool bolt action or Combat 47 campaign to run. Like you're right, like a de-escalation, you know, long term. But that would be good with like a behind enemy lines. Like you get inserted by submarine or by, you know, airdrop. That'd be a really cool way of doing it. Yeah, if you win games, you get like requisition points. You can trade those in for, you know, resupply on fuel or ammo, for your tanks or vehicles, or like spare parts to keep your vehicles running. You know, that's a really cool idea, Grim Tim Tim. I may try and run something like that. That's really cool. That's really cool. A de-escalation behind enemy lines rule. That's a really cool idea, Grim Tim Tim. Nice, man. I just keep thinking like Battlestar Galactica, you know? Maybe it's not the best example, but... Yeah, that's the game I'm talking about. Yeah, Last Train Home. Hey, what's going on, World War II? Yeah, I got, they're packed up because I just took them to an event, World War II. I have like 3 or 4 Scorpion Lightwalkers, and I actually have a Locust Medium Walker now for the Imperial Japanese. I call him the Goo Goo Muck, you know, off the song. He actually kicked some serious ass. World War II. I did a you might get a kick out of this. So I did a no notice, kind of like short notice Conflict 47 game with a guy who wanted to play. He has Americans and American Airborne, and I have Imperial Japanese. So I was trying to figure out a good battlefield that I hadn't done before. So all my bat reps and pictures start to look the same. It's like jungle, jungle, jungle. So I went with the narrative that the Imperial Japanese did a landing in Mexico, and we're pushing up, you know, into California. And the Americans saw it coming by cracking the code. So as the Imperial Japanese Army were pushing up through Mexico, the Americans, you know, the American Airborne did a drop and a countercharge, and so the two forces met in Tijuana. So I got like a 3D map, like a picture of what Tijuana looked like. There's an airport, a river through the city. You know, I had a bunch of like Wild West / 1950 style terrain from like my Fallout stuff. So I actually built a legit, I think it was legit, it was a pretty cool Tijuana map. Like Tijuana in 1947. And the forces were legit. He had a medium walker, a light walker, heavy infantry, jump infantry, shit tons of veteran infantry, you know, regular guys. I had medium walker, light walker, a bunch of 2 heavy infantry AT teams, zombies. It was a lot of fun. It was absolutely cool, and the map ended up being really neat. It was very, very dense. Some people saw that and commented on that, but that was what we were going for. We wanted it to be as realistic, like, to a city as possible. So it had, like, you know, it's funny, the brothels and the police station We're closer to the American border. The airfield's exactly where it was supposed to be. As you went further down south, the buildings got more and more dilapidated. They kind of just turned into shacks and stuff like that. There's a whole like church in one corner, so it actually had like big like 2-story buildings and graveyards and all this cool stuff. It was really neat. To me, I think that's the secret to bolt action, to a good bolt action Comic 47 game. And I found this out on my Battle of Berlin game. On last stream, I talked about it. I think the key to bolt action or Comic 47, not just the player, but it's the terrain. The board can make or break a game of bolt action or Comic 47. Yeah, so the lore for this World War II is it was like during Dia de Muerta, and like the Americans kind of let the Mexicans know ahead of time so it'd be less collateral damage. So the Imperial Japanese are like kind of walking through this abandoned streets of Tijuana, and it's like all decorated for Dia de Muerta. You know, all the stalls are there, the sugar skulls, you know, all the banners, everything everywhere. And there's like, what the fuck is going on? And then out of nowhere, they see like a medium jump walker and you know, jet infantry to start screaming down, flamethrowers and guns going, like, oh shit, you know, everyone just starts scrambling. And it was cool. The game was, we set the buildings up, and it was really useful to like kind of run, you know, from alleyway to alleyway, building to building, and we kind of moved our mechs, and he used a lot of his machine gun teams and his mortar teams and stuff like that to kind of lock down sectors of fire, you know, down like narrow streets, stuff like that. I used my medium Locust Walker that has a medium AT gun and light autocannons. So I kind of like slowly moved him up, and I kept him static because he was tall enough to see over a lot of the buildings. So he just kind of owned a half of the building. Like he kept the airfield pinned down and some other stuff. So he tried to move troops up. He was just like putting HE and hate in buildings, and like there was an observer in the air control tower at the airport, you know, calling in that mortar fire. So he took him out. It was pretty cool. It was an absolute fight on the other side of the map. It was super close combat, running over the bridge. He just kept machine gunning and SMGing and flamethrowing my guys and breaking contact and bounding back. I just kept charging forward with zombies, followed up by riflemen, and it was actually a lot of fun. It felt really cool. It felt like a really, really good game. I tried to move my Scorpion up to kind of own that left side of the table. You'll see the pictures in the battle report. But I fell for the bait. I moved them up a little too far, and the way we had the city set up is there's like plenty of line of sights drawing, you know, down alleyways and streets, right? Because you have streets and alleys. And so he was able to pull a really good line of sight, and I fell for it too, from his medium walker to my light walker. So as soon as I moved up to take a shot, he just put a whole bunch of light autocannon rounds into my light walker. He didn't destroy it, but he pinned it he just kept putting pins on that thing, so it couldn't shoot anymore very accurately. Yeah, that would be fun. I don't think I've gotten to that complexity level yet. Maybe in the future, possibly. I could see that in like a big urban game, you know, especially like 40K and Genes to the Cold, but our games haven't gotten that complex yet. Sounds interesting though. But yeah, I figured as a fellow Texan, you'd find that battle interesting. You know, Tijuana, 1947, Imperial Japanese landing force versus American Airborne, doing like a countercharge and meeting them in the city instead of waiting at the border, you know, catching them off guard. I feel so good to like build troops without a deadline. CB Cooper talked about it too. I was getting that motor pool spun up for those MPs, you know, for like 3 weeks, getting everything painted and ready, and I got it like 10 minutes before the game. It was awesome. But yeah, so far we've thought of two really cool ideas to try for Conflict 47. CB Cooper, I think it was CB Cooper. Yeah, we were tossed around the idea of, let me make sure, because I was talking about Grim 10 for one. There it goes. Oh, I screwed that up, so I can't read that. Hold on. Yeah, CB Cooper and I were talking about doing and Squiggle and Sean was talking about too, like more of a tactical game where I want to do like a 1500 point versus 1500 point, but each side has 3 players. So you have a team captain who has 1,000 points, and then he has 2 people with him who have 500 points each. So it kind of limits you from taking like crazy powerful stuff and like doing like weird list builds. Instead, you got to be like kind of more tactical and communicate, you know, and kind of fill out each other's squads and play that way. I think that might be kind of cool to do. And then Grimson 2 gave me a really cool idea about a de-escalation event. You know, think kind of like Battlestar Galactica or Last Train Home, where you start out with a force. You know, it could be airdropped in or inserted by a submarine, whatever have you. As you go through this campaign, you know, you start taking losses, and when you take losses, they don't replenish. So you have 2 15-man vet squads. You know, and each one takes like 7 casualties and one takes 3 casualties. Now you're down to like one 12-man squad, and the other one's like down to 8, or you know, you can kind of like balance them out if you want, pass them back and forth. So therefore, you know, with your vehicles, you gotta like, you know, worry about fuel, ammo, spare parts. So it's actually got a really cool way of kind of doing it. You could take in like fresh blood, like, you know, local militia teams, and it's pretty cool. The cool thing is that'll make maps a lot more important. So instead of just these like random objectives you have to stay near for whatever reason, like you're actually fighting over fuel dumps and ammo dumps. Like that'd actually be really cool. Yeah, and that's why I found a group that wants to possibly do an actual escalation event for Conflict 47. So that may end up being what I do Weird War 2. I think I've talked to you before about my, you know, Central, South American, and Caribbean style campaign. So, you know, the Imperial Japanese are there to take the canal and secure resources, you know, an alternate form of oil and rubber and stuff like that. You know, oil and rubber is massive. You have the oil of Lake Maracaibo, you have the, you know, rubber trees, huge, right? Same thing with the Germans. They want the supplies, but more importantly, they also, you know, they need the food, and they want to set up bunkers to start dropping off some of their population and kind of work on that whole like 1,000-year Reich and kind of hide people away. The Russians want to they went to spread, you know, another revolt, like another workers' revolt in the whole area, starting in the Caribbean and then pushing down to South America, where the Americans, what the Americans and the British were trying to do is trying to restart Gran Colombia, you know, that whole like northern part of South America where it was Venezuela, Colombia, and Panama. You know, it was supposed to be like one big ass power country. So they're trying to like kind of bolster them, and they're in there as like special forces more, you know, more, you know, OSS and SOE style guys. You know, lots of Paragon forces and heavy infantry, trying to bolster the local forces to kind of create that solid country to act as a roadblock. So now you have like a three-way rumble in the jungle down in South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. So that should be a lot of fun. Very, very cool, very outside the normal campaign you'd see. And I think we'll probably do it as like an escalation league. Starting off with like bolt action forces. And, you know, as you get, you know, certain requisition, you can get actual Rift Tech stuff. Yeah, what's going on, Squid Fist? I'm just building up my Imperial Japanese Navy guys. I'm using World War I Russians. Usually for the tall boots and for this little canvas they kind of have around. I'm going to kind of make that look more almost like a like an old school life preserver kind of. Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting, World War II. I made think about that. It's another cool idea. Nice, build some custodians. How do you like building them? Are they easier to build, or are they difficult because of the way like their armor is? I've always been kind of curious about that. Nice. There's be one of the system SMG gunners. Nice. Oh, no, so CB Cooper, what these are is, you know, they actually could be like Kriegsmarine, ironically. No, so what I'm building, yeah, actually, they actually would be pretty good Kriegsmarine. So these are gonna be my Imperial Japanese Navy. So they actually have, I'm using World War I Russians, mostly for the boots, the sabers, stuff like that. They carry a lot more submachine guns, and they always have they use a lot of foreign weaponry. A lot of foreign submachine guns and a lot of foreign light machine guns. Or, sorry, a lot of foreign submachine guns and light machine guns. So these are my sergeants, you know. These two are the sergeants, and then right now I'm building each squad. I'm starting with my 500. I'm starting with my 500 point list for my Imperial Japanese Navy. Comes with a anti-tank rifle team, 2 Kami swimming tanks inexperienced, 1 platoon officer with a submachine gun. Is going to have 2 rifle platoon or 2 rifle squads. They're 10-man NCO with a submachine gun, and then 1 guy with a submachine gun, and then 8 riflemen. So that's what I'm building right now. The paint scheme is going to be like this. So it's going to be black boots, blue uniform, blue soft caps, or gray helmets. Very non-historical, very Hollywood-esque, but pretty excited. But yeah, I am using lots of German bits and all sorts of other kind of bits. I haven't really gotten anything too supernatural yet. I think I was talking with somebody about that. I mean, I kind of am. I have like my zombie hula girls, you know. I have just about to get a 3D. I have one designed, and once I kick the design over to Iris, she's gonna print me out a whole bunch of them. So I guess you could say that's pretty magical, I guess. I'm both excited and worried to see what Warlord Games is going to do to Conflict 47, especially the lore. I think there's going to be a lot of lore changes why they haven't talked about it, and they hired a lot of lore writers, you know, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I was actually playing, I mean, the game wasn't that much fun, I think, because it's very ahistorical there. It was the, one of the World War II modern Call of Duty games. I don't know, there's like 4 of them, right? I think it was a Battlefield game, I can't remember. Might have been Battlefield 5, I can't remember. But there was a cosmetic for the Imperial Japanese to be Navy. First off, the guy had arm tattoos. It looked cool, but there's no way they'd let the Yakuza serve. Like, absolutely not, right? But they looked cool. They had, like, blue uniform, like, blue pants, blue hats. They had, like, life preservers and shit. It was really, really cool, so I used that to kind of, because you can, like, customize your pants and your top and your hat, you know, military Barbie style, so I used that to kind of figure out, like, roughly what I want my units to look like, you know, so I used it as, like, a model designer. And I came up with this Imperial Japanese look, or Imperial Japanese Navy look, where they're wearing blue uniforms. Not ahistorical, but not super historical at the same time, like a little bit of both. So, kind of excited. And that cloth wrap over the shoulder, I'm just going to kind of score lines into it and paint it to where it just looks more like a life preserver. Nice. Here's a another little submachine gunner. The German submachine gun. That'll work for me. Alright, so like I said, they're all headless because I gotta go and find my... I just happen to have my other sprues handy from building my other forces. I gotta go and actually find my Imperial Japanese sprues and get out the soft cap heads for them. So they shall be headless. Yeah, so that's one of the funny little things I'm going to do as part of my campaign for South America is, you know, the Americans, obviously, they're the closest, you know, and they have the British as support, so they're kind of just, like, smuggle their guys down into South America, no big deal. You know, the Japanese did a lot of, like, submarine landings, and so did the Germans. So, like, well, how'd the Russians get there? So, theirs is doing, like, big old trade ships, and this is really cool. They have a traveling Russian circus, right? So the traveling Russian circus kind of comes to town, and it has these trained bears. The bears are actually the Ursus infantry, the werebears, and like some of their, you know, acrobats and like, you know, like circus acrobats and all this other kind of stuff are actually Daughters of the Revolution. You know, they're all just kind of like, so it's a whole bunch of like Russian special units, the Daughters of the Revolution and the Ursus infantry, but they're kind of just designed as like circus performers, you know. So they're under the guise of like a traveling Russian circus. He's like, I got a lot of projects, but I can do smuggled Russian circus performers. No. The only thing I have is I have some I guess they're like supposed to be veterans. I'm going to use them more as like engineers, so they just have a lot more chem on them. My recommendation for that Weird World War II is take a look at Warlord Games. Take a look at their Korean war models. I'm pretty sure if you take North Korean troops and just swap around the heads and the rifles, you can make cold weather Japanese. That's not me being, you know, racist or jingoistic. I'm just saying model-wise. Yeah, whenever I think cold weather, I generally think like Korean models or Korean War models. Yeah, because I don't think they make Chinese models either. Yeah, nah, they don't really make those. Yeah, that would be obviously I'm biased, but that would be my dream, like starter set for Warlord Games for Bolt Action 3rd Edition. You know how they have like those one that comes with 2 forces. I would love like an actual like quote unquote golf, you know, so like Russians versus Japanese. That would be really cool. It doesn't have to be too expensive a box. I'd pick just two light tanks that the Russians had at that battle, you know, 2 light or medium tanks, and then just enough infantry to make like a platoon leader and like 2 squads, like nothing crazy, you know. And for the Imperial Japanese, just give them shit tons of infantry sprues, like maybe like 1 AT gun, you know, but just give them shit tons of infantry sprues so they can make their lunge mines and shit. It would make it a balanced game, you know, like a balanced set. It'd be a lot of fun. And as far as like the building, just give it like anti-tank traps, you know, like Dragon's Teeth and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. Yeah, it's funny. I'm the exact opposite. I'm 100% not into the winter kits, but you know, look at the brand, the whole Tiki, the Clash of the Caribbean. Yeah, it's just nothing wrong with it. It's just not my scene. I enjoy more of the tropical stuff. Oh no, that sucks to hear, Sean. I'm sorry that it sucks to build the Stampa. I was hoping it'd be like a fun build. I'm gonna look forward to building my battle wagon out of the cargo 8 hauler. You know, to make a big ass like war rig. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm waiting on some parts to come in from Mad Larkin before I start. Thanks, TV Cooper. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah, I'm so excited. So I designed I designed a zombie hula girl on Hero Forge, and so I'm going to once I do some research, I'm gonna figure out the right scale to download the STL, and then I'll actually have zombie hula girl modeled for my Shiobi zombies. Oh no, fuck that, Super Gunner Sean. I'd go crazy. No, hard pass. Nah, Super Gunner Sean, I would just be getting bits and like a coffee can and just building one that way. I got the right size coffee cans too. I got some I cannot think of the name of that coffee place. Ugh. Sorry to hear that, Grim Tim Tim. That sounds crazy. I mean, granted, I have hurricane season, you know, so it's not like I'm perfect, but much rather have hurricanes than snow. Cafe Du Mont. There you go. That's the name of the coffee place. I have some cans of coffee from Cafe Du Mont. I like the perfect size to make stampas. I have no idea, Squigger and Sean. I'm not even sure if they're gonna do it. If they do the event, what I'll probably do is I found a 3D print I like, and I'll probably order a whole bunch of 3D printed DACA jets, and I'll probably like donate a DACA squadron. Nice. I always like putting SMG pouches on SMG troopers. I feel like it really kind of completes it. Oh yeah, you should totally do that, CB Cooper. That sounds awesome. Not sure if you saw my Rhino, but yeah, I to make it like the length of a truck better, you know, like a better proxy, I left the ramp down in the back. And I have like Gretchen hanging out the back shooting and stuff. Yeah, Rhinos, you can find those. I found like a bunch of beat up ones on eBay that were missing bits, and it was perfect. It's able to turn into what I need. Alright, well, so without the heads, because I gotta go get the heads off a different sprue. Not bad. Got 4 guys built. 4 guys built. We kind of chatted about some stuff. We talked about the good things that happened at the Battle of Berlin game. Got to meet up with Morning Glory. That was cool. Cracked a lot of jokes. I can't tell you this with all honesty. He's exactly in person as he appears online. He is 100% the exact same dude. So it's always cool to hear. Always cool to see. I don't think he drinks tequila often. We threw a lot of margaritas into that guy, and it had an effect that was pretty funny. But yeah, there was talk about possibly a future U.S. Thanatos possibly here in Florida. That could happen. I talked a little about my battle in Tijuana in 1947. That was really cool. It was an absolute blast. It was a very well-matched list. I remember that too, Grim Tim, when trucks held as many orcs as you could fit, so that was like the days of Tonka toys, like painted Tonka toys. That was good times. That's back when the Genestealer cult had like those weird, like, you guys remember like the limos, like the pimp mobile? I used to call them pimp mobiles. That the GSC had, they had like these like long stretched limos. It was weird. Okay, cool. So I'm not just crazy. That was a thing. Okay, I feel a lot better. Thank you, CB Cooper. Oh, and actually, speaking of that, let me Oh yeah, Matthew, you're I know it's kind of late, but no, your Scorpion looks great, man. It looks better than mine. I love that style of deep jungle cam you did on it. Ended up looking at him real well. Alright, so that link, I'm gonna drop it in, probably each live stream just to kind of build up and I appreciate you guys who joined. It's a Discord. It's not mine. Somebody else made it, but it's specifically for Conflict 47. So it finally gives us a Discord we can all chat and talk about all the stuff going on. It's a global Conflict 47, no matter where you are. You can join in and they'll build, like, it's really for like finding games too. That way you guys can all join it. Yeah, Matthew, I want to make sure I got to it. I saw the picture. I was like, oh yeah. So his pictures look really, really cool. It's got that like deep, almost like vertical brush stroke and like 4 different color deep jungle camo. It's real nice. But the Discord's for finding games. That way if you happen to be over here in this part of the country or that part of the country. And a lot more pictures of bat reps. So I'm pretty excited to see that. So the guy just reached out to me to ask me to join the Discord. So it's not mine. I just try and post it to the streams. That way we can kind of get like a healthy kind of group up on there and we can all kind of chat, share pictures, share ideas. So it's actually kind of nice. And I saw a lot of you guys joined yesterday, which I appreciate. That was really cool. But yeah, you guys are watching the Imperial Japanese Navy. I'm finally working on my SNILFs. So you're watching my SNILF force get built up. So now it's gonna be easy from here on out. Like these ones I had to be kit bashed. After these just come like 8 riflemen in each squad. That's gonna be pretty easy to build. And then from that I'll bump it. So you'll see it literally get flexed from 500 points to 750 to 1,000 to 1,250. So, and I'm trying to make it as very bolt action legal, so you actually see this force being used. Who knows? We may have to end up getting more commies. But no, other than that, like I said, it was I know the streams this week were a little bit short. I was thinking about going a little bit longer today, but definitely pretty tired, unfortunately. But as you guys can hear, I've had a crazy week, a good crazy week. I got to meet a lot of you guys, which is kind of cool. I got to meet some people in person, which is neat. Made some new friends. Went to multiple games. Like I said, in the last month, I've done a 500-point bolt action teaching game, a massive bolt action event, and then I did a 1250 Conflict 47 game. So for me, that's a lot. You know, some people are like, oh, I do like a 4-game, you know, tournament every weekend. I'm like, Jesus, like, it's impressive, but I'm like, oh man, for me, that's a lot. And like I said, I got to do a meet and greet, which is pretty cool. I got to meet Morning Glory and some other people, and through those people I met that day, I got to meet some store owners and some other places, and got to meet more people. So for me, it was basically like my Adepticon, if that makes sense. Like, I met so many new people, so many new stores. You know, it was absolutely crazy, and got so many games in. So yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it. Like this, the last 2 weeks or whatever was like my Adepticon, you know. But I try to share all my stories. I am working on the battle report. I got to get some pictures and get everything organized from Sam. I can start working on that battle report for the Tijuana game. But until then, keep your eyes peeled. Like I said, I dropped a link in the YouTube as one of the posts for the countdown for new Conflict 47 stuff. So that was absolutely awesome. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that to come out. They just released an updated roadmap for bolt action. Q1 2026, we'll get Imperial Japanese. It's going to be a good time. Probably undo all this stuff I'm building, but that's fine. So far in the future, it's perfectly fine. But for those of you who are going to sleep, I hope you get the sleep you need. You know, for you guys headed to work, I hope it's a great day at work. I hope someone shows up early and brings free donuts or free coffee. It always kind of makes it. For the rest of you, I hope you stay safe, stay hydrated. Don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Shipwrecked soldiers on Moto sand, type array rifles in hand, hula gals with summer smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights, sand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap, imperial dreams, fade and sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days, sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard ebb and flow.